Let's go, Boston.
Boston sucks! Boston sucks!
Okay, should we do it over or
No,
why would you start off with that chant?
because it was so
Should have been just the opposite of that chant,
it
and
was
now
so
nobody
in
knows
your
what we're talking about.
face.
Okay, nobody knows what we're talking about. So, welcome to the Oh Brother podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith,
And I
right
know
there.
you from
The animated Mike Smith.
was fired
Mike
up.
has got bits galore here. Getting fired up with bits galore. It's bits galore on Oh Brother. I'm your host, Dan Smith, with my sidekick Bits Galore. Coming to the stage now, Bits Galore.
Yeah, that's
Oh
my
man. But
porno
okay,
name.
so we're reviewing the film Highest to Lowest, which we did a first look on not
Right.
that long ago. And I think we recognized during the first look that it had been in theaters, but it was getting ready to come to streaming. And so
A-
currently it's on Apple TV as of September 5th, 2025 is when it hit Apple TV.
And I don't know if you looked at the box office, but it was only released maybe at the festivals
Yeah,
because
you
it
can't really
did
go by the box office.
$1 million. So, and both of us, it
Yeah,
wasn't showing in our theaters.
it's kind of irrelevant, the box office take with this conversation. But
Yeah.
but so again, it hits Apple TV, so you can find it there now streaming. It's, the number one movie right now, the top 10 on Apple TV. It is, of course, a Spike Lee joint. It is
Mhm.
directed by Spike Lee. This is the fifth collaboration between he and Denzel Washington, actually the first in 19 years since they
Wow.
did
Inside
Inside
Man.
Man.
Yeah.
We're
What?
like a ventriloquist act or
I
something.
know. Well, we don't
It's hard for you to sit back and not step on me. And like right there, it was Inside Man, 2006. Like we were finishing every bit. Bits
yeah.
galore, folks.
Well, you do the same to me. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
start
hard.
to
It's
say
hard.
something, you finish it. But
And we're
yeah,
trying
Mo
to make
Better
this.
Blues.
Uh-huh.
It's also the second collaboration with Jeffrey Wright
Yes.
and Denzel, which you know the first.
Manchurian Candidate.
One of my favorites,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
was a remake.
Yeah. And to be clear, this film is not a remake. It's a reimagining of Akira Kurosawa's film High and Low, which came out in 1963. Let me guess. Mike's going to hold up the Criterion
That's right.
edition of Kurosawa's film High and Low. So you've seen that film then?
I watched it last night. I've seen it several times.
Okay, you'd seen it previously, yeah.
Yeah.
And so out on Criterion, I will be adding that to my Criterion collection the next time I'm in the stores.
Well,
Well,
did you see that
are they going to box them
September
together?
9th, the
Ooh.
4K is released?
Maybe you told me that because so that's a Blu-ray that you have?
Yeah, I'm holding the Blu-ray, which I've
I
had since
see.
2008.
Oh, wow. So it's been some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So then I don't have to wait very long though, and then I'll be able to
No,
get the
2
4K
days and
edition.
you'll be able to get it.
So High and Low came out in 1963. It
Right.
is highly regarded. It is, one of many masterpieces from Kurosawa. And I thought Spike did a good job kind of paying homage or whatever you want to say. Now, Kurosawa, because as we often do, you end up going down a rabbit hole and a deep dive into
Yeah.
Kurosawa films, and so I watched a handful of his films,
Yeah,
and
which you can get a lot of the Criterion films
Mhm.
on HBO Max.
Yes.
And I
Oh,
believe this one, High and Low,
yes.
is so if you wanna compare, it's kind of funny. I watched it almost kinda jovial because it's so similar yet so different.
Which you're referring to now?
High and Low. Like
Kurosawa's film,
like
yeah.
Denzel Washington plays a music mogul. That's
Mhm.
the position. In the Japanese version, the guy's a shoe executive,
Yes.
which is just kind of funny. They're talking about shoes at the beginning, and it's just amusing to me now.
Yeah, now, I mean, as a first time view, I think, which and again, I would highly recommend folks check out the Kurosawa film. And I think whether you watch it before or after this film, I still think you'd have
Yeah,
an enjoyable experience watching it.
yeah,
It's great.
and there's many directors. Spike Lee is certainly not the first, and he actually wasn't the first in line for this. But, um, Yo Yojimbo, which is this two-box set of Kurosawa's, was the basis of Sergio Leone's Fistful of Dollars, and the reason Clint signed on. Somebody said, "Yeah, we're doing Yojimbo, except we're gonna make it a Western."
Mhm.
That got him on a plane to Italy. And then
Well,
behind me, I have Seven Samurai, which is his seminal work. And that's the basis of the Magnificent Seven.
and I'll be honest, I don't know if this is blasphemy or not in the world of Kurosawa, but High and Low is a masterpiece. Seven Samurai is a great movie. It's very enjoyable to watch, but it's very long. I mean, it's so long. There's an
It's really long.
intermission, like
Yeah.
it's super long, and yeah, it's a little silly in at spots. With some of the characters are very kind of goofy, but it is a great work. But honestly, I enjoyed High and Low more than I enjoyed Seven Samurai,
I
and
wouldn't go that far
that
for
includes, like,
me.
Throne of Blood and some of the other ones that he's done.
Roshamon,
Roshamon,
Ran.
yeah.
I mean,
There's so many.
there's a box set that's been out of print forever
Yeah,
of Criterion Kurosawa with 25 of his films, which
yeah.
is basically his entire catalog.
Yeah,
And
and he was a master, a visual master, and we could sit here for the entire episode just gushing over Kurosawa, but I
right.
wanna show one image from High and Low, which could be any frame in the film, and
Yeah.
he was a master of blocking. Like, the
Yes.
way I mean, look at this shot here from High and Low,
Right. It's got 5 people in the picture, and
and
they're
the
all non-verbally speaking right now.
exactly. And his with this being black and white, of his use of light and shadows, but this you see this sort of thing throughout the film, in all of his films. It's
Yeah.
amazing what he does with the camera, in the way that, the movement of the characters and their positioning in the frame, and it's, again, it's a masterclass, obviously, for anybody that knows his work.
Now, have you seen Hidden Fortress?
I haven't seen though. I started to watch that, but I didn't finish it
But you know why I bring it up.
because of Star Wars and George
Yeah.
Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Which
why the poster is up behind
have
me.
but and you see a lot even in Seven Samurai, you can see a lot of the influence
Yeah, oh,
with
definitely.
just the way they're holding the swords, and,
Yes.
fast forward to the lightsabers in A New Hope with Star Wars, and every other subsequent Star Wars film after that. But yeah, it was really the blueprint. And so it's no small task, I think, that Spike takes on. And of course, he's an incredible director. Uh,
Right.
I think it's fair to say we've been fans of him from way back in the beginning. Do the Right Thing.
Yeah,
What do
this
you?
is Do the Right Thing,
Yeah,
Criterion.
right.
And then I have Malcolm X, which
Hmm.
is like Denzel not winning the Oscar for this is criminal. And I don't
Yeah,
know if you know who won that year.
I don't.
It's a guy we like. We always say this is a joke that he won this Oscar.
Al Pacino.
Yes,
Oh, it was
Scent of a
Sensible Woman.
Woman
Sensible.
beats Malcolm X, and I don't think you've seen Malcolm X yet,
Hooah.
and that's out on 4K
Hmm.
Criterion just
Yeah.
now. So, uh, we always like Al Pacino got Scent of a Woman because he got screwed for 3 others he should have won,
Hmm.
And, Mal and Denzel Washington, also Magnificent Seven, the remake, Denzel Washington is so there's another Kurosawa tie-in.
Yeah. So the so high and low. So this premise that you kind of were alluding to, you were making some comparisons between highest to lowest and high and low.
Yeah,
Denzel's a music mogul versus, on the board of a shoe
shoemaker.
company and
Yeah,
so forth. But there's this whole sort of class thing going on with um Kingo is the character's name in High and Low, which I like because in Highest to Lowest, Denzel's character is David King.
right,
And of course, this Kurosawa's film was based on a novel,
right.
King's Ransom, which came out in 1959 by Ed Bain, I think, or Ed
Dan
McBain. Yeah,
doing his homework here.
Ed McBain, which I think was it's Evan Hunter, but the novel came out under the name Ed McBain, I believe is how it goes. But that sort of premise of this, there's one central figure who's in the highest position, and then there's the other character who is at the lowest position.
And there's several metaphors you can
Yeah.
like, you could call this richest to poorest, right?
Absolutely.
And in Kurosawa's film, it's you take it literally. And as the establishing shot in this film, Highest to Lowest, Spike Lee has this beautiful skyline shot of New York. Have you ever seen New York look so good?
He and again, listen. So Spike, is it fair to say almost every one of his films in some way is a love letter to New York? I mean, in some way,
Yes.
I think that's
Yes.
fair to say, right?
Yep.
But I've never seen it captured as beautifully, as cinematically as he did here. Now, this must have been a lot of drone footage that they were,
Ye
but the opening sequence is so stunning. And against that, what is it, Mike? I don't know who does the song, but that "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning,"
Right, the
that
orchestrated version of that.
that song laid over the imagery that you're seeing was just so, like you're saying, it was just setting things up so perfectly. And it's, what you're seeing is this he's basically circling around the Brooklyn
Manhattan.
Bridge, and you've got
Yes.
Manhattan and then Brooklyn on the other side, right?
Right.
And of course, now this is later on in the film. But
Mhm.
this doesn't do it justice, but this was a great shot over the shoulder of the young felon played by ASAP Rocky looking up at Denzel Washington's penthouse, which, by the way, the digs they used for this was a 17 and a half, ironically, Mike, $17.5 million penthouse that they
Wow.
used for the filming of this. So you take this and then we go back to High and Low with Kurosawa, and
Right.
again, it's kinda comical when you see this
And
versus what it is in Highest to Lowest, but
villain in High and Low is literally living in a shack,
right.
looking up at what you're showing, this picture, and that's to him the same like, when you see the shot in Spike Lee's, that
Mhm.
is like a stunning penthouse. I
Yes.
mean and again, like, I've been to New York many, many, many times, and I've never seen it look so spectacular as this film.
Look at this shot. This is from that penthouse
Yeah, and
view, and
the
it's just
artwork
gorgeous.
on the walls is very both of these films, Kurosawa's is Japanese culture, there's a lot of
Mhm,
cultural references in that, and Spike Lee, there's a lot of cultural references for the
mhm.
African American community, and the paintings being part of that, they were all fakes because he was afraid to use the real ones and didn't wanna damage them.
Well, and Spike is quite a collector, and he's got, you hear Basquiat referenced a few times throughout the film, who was a
Yes,
legendary, neo-expressionistic artist who sadly died of a drug overdose, but a wonderful artist. And you see some of the Basquiat paintings in Denzel's penthouse, in King David's
right,
penthouse.
right.
Um, but it's yeah, it's stunning that opening shot. So I was kind of along for the ride. This is a 2 hour and 13-minute film, which there were it did drag in a few spots for me. I mean, and I have to say, we made a joke at the top. So to be clear, the reason that we were had that whole little bit at the beginning with the Boston thing was because this goes way, way back, of course, but,
Right,
Spike makes no bones about the fact that he hates Boston and we hate New York, and that's just the way it
right.
is in the world of sports. But when see him in an interview, like he was on Seth Meyers, you can't you can't hate the guy. Like he
Right.
does it in a way that it's all in good fun, but he
Yes.
is obviously a hardcore sports fan and Knicks, to the death.
Yeah, like, he starts with digs at the Celtics right at the start,
Right at
just
the very start.
from a sweatband, a
Yeah.
headband that one of the actors is playing.
And I want to point out a couple of things related to this. So one of them is I in the first look I mentioned that Rick Fox is in the film.
Yes.
Rick Fox, of course, played for the Boston Celtics. He went on to play for the Lakers, of course, after that
Right.
for
W
more years than he played.
winning 0
Sure.
championships with the Celtics, but
Of
3 with
course.
the Lakers.
Of course, as it often goes, right? But he plays
Yeah.
a character named Coach Fox, and I just want to be very clear. This is Rick Fox here, folks. So
Yep.
of course, when he was with the Celtics,
Yep.
but so there's that, and then there's this shot here with Denzel on a subway,
Right.
and you notice what it says behind him. There's a sign on the interior of the subway. It says, "We love that hate is never ever tolerated," and then in parentheses underneath it says, "Red Sox not included."
I missed that when
Yeah,
I
there's
watched
little
it.
little digs like that,
Yeah.
like you said, throughout. But it got a little over the top for me. At one point, I was like, "Okay, we get it." Like Nick Turturro was so annoying in this film. Sorry,
Right.
Nick, and I like Nick. I
And
like a
this
lot
is
of the
his
films.
6th film with Spike, and
Yeah, but it
it's
was
John Turturro's brother, which is why I have The Big Lebowski up.
that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
But it was meaningless. But again, I understand Spike's putting friends in the film and things like that. I get it, but
And when
it just got
the
too much.
reason I was screaming and looking into the camera was because he does that, and it's just kind of obnoxious,
It was very obnoxious to the point where it took me out of the film for a few
Yeah,
minutes.
it did.
It felt contrived. It really felt contrived.
Yeah.
I had no problem. We have thick enough skin, growing up
Oh,
as Red Sox fans, and now currently, frankly, as almost every team in our hometown, right? It's,
right, right.
Patriots, by the way, speaking of the
Yeah,
Patriots,
no, let's not speak of them.
game 1 today sucked.
Yeah, not
Okay.
good.
So now he's directed over 35 films. We mentioned this is the fifth collaboration with Denzel. Some of the other players here too, Mike. We Jeffrey Wright, who you mentioned, is fantastic in this. I love his character in this, which he's if you're thinking of Kurosawa's High and Low, he would be the chauffeur
Right,
to Kingo in that film.
right.
And then I
And
obviously go ahead.
the juxtaposition of how that character is portrayed in the 2 films tells you everything you wanna know about the difference from a cultural viewpoint.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
guy and in Kurosawa's, they're kids. They're like
Well,
10-year-olds.
do you mean because the chauffeur, like this subservient kind of
In the
puts
Japanese
it up?
version, he spends most of the first half of the movie just bowed over, like, apologetically,
Right.
where Jeffrey Wright is instantly being accused because he's an ex-con, he
Mhm.
has a record and
Sure.
I think because he's black, they're
Sure.
looking at him as,
Sure.
"Hey, are ironically, I think technology ultimately downs this film and makes it inferior to Kurosawa's.
How so?
Well, the way they communicate with cell phones and, the way they can trace things instantly.
Mhm.
There's a lot more police work in the Kurosawa film that
Mhm.
leads up in a very, you know, incremental way to get to the
Creates maybe more suspense.
absolutely. This
Yeah.
film, this is the problem I have with the film. I like
Okay.
the look of it. I love the shots.
Mhm.
I love the acting. Aesop Rocky's got another career if he wants it,
He was great. It's
and he's
great.
got another film, I think, coming out this year.
Yeah, really good.
Um, but ultimately, its downfall is it just goes along. There's no high points, there's no low points, to use a pun,
Yeah.
from the
Well,
film.
yeah, yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, there's a couple of standout sequences in the film.
Yeah.
Not, not a spoiler alert, but obviously this character that ASAP Rocky is playing, young felon, he's this struggling artist, this rap artist who,
Mhm.
is looking up at this mogul who has apparently kind of passed him by numerous times in the
Right,
past when he's tried to give him his mixtape or, like artists will do, trying to get seen, trying to get heard. And, King David, he holds all the power. So, like, if he
right.
doesn't listen to your stuff or give you the time of day, that's the difference between you making it and you staying at the lowest spot. And so, but there's a sequence when the two characters come together that's very
Yes.
powerful. I'll just play just a quick clip of this here.
Great.
Hear the vocals differently. Something like, where's my money? I got the 4 pounder sitting right here. Don't try nothing funny.
Something like that. You know, Nazir, 93, 94.
And all that old shit you talking about now. It's something more like, I got the blicky on me, OG, so don't try nothing tricky on me, OG.
I got mine too, young G, 9 millimeter. And a lot of reasons why you shouldn't with me either, young G. I'm the one that can pay you. I don't need to be the one that's gonna slay you.
Is this a battle right now?
Now, that's improvised, that
It's
section,
amazing. It's incredible.
and, A$AP what is this, a rap battle at the
And that's
end?
and that's just a taste. It goes on for another
Yeah,
minute, and it's really powerful. And as you said, it's this tension, and this was one of the scenes where I really kind of felt it
I agree.
building and
I
building.
agree. I think it was the best sequence in the film,
Mhm.
and if you compare it, that's where it should have ended. It should have ended there.
Shortly after that,
Yeah,
I agree with
shortly
that.
after.
I think where it ended up going to, it just fell flat for me. It's
Yes.
unnecessary. It was
Yeah,
unnecessary. I like the fact that I think the ending is appropriate. Let me just say that, as is the ending in High and Low. In
right.
terms of characters getting their comeuppance or getting their due. I think
And the ASAP Rocky character in Kurosawa's film, that actor in 2008 gives an interview that it's a must see because that same sequence with the 2 of them squaring off is brilliant
yes,
in
and
both films.
as a matter of fact, you mentioned that, and I have. Let me show you this shot here. It's here it is. Here you go, right here, Mike. Um, this shot,
Yeah,
beautiful. Between the bars, reminds me of from Manhunter
that's
when
right.
he's confronting Hannibal Lecter in the cell, and it's just fantastic. But it was another thing I thought Spike did that was really cool, which was very Kurosawa-esque. So it was a nice tip of the hat that he used these wipes. He did a lot of wipes as
Mhm.
a transitional device, which Lucas does in Star Wars quite a bit as well, because of, again, the influence from Kurosawa. And here's one. What they did was the logo for Denzel's company, Stacking Records. This is the logo, and so every now and then the logo would come flashing through the screen to swipe, to wipe, and then transition into here's one with Jeffrey Wright's character. You can see the
Yeah.
logo coming in as it wipes. I thought that was nice, a little kind of tip
Yes.
of the hat. You also mentioned, look, again, what he does with the lenses and the
Yeah.
lighting here. Look at the gold. Look at how
It's
the gold
beautiful.
just pops. Then you see Denzel's, the beats he's wearing, the gold beats and the blue suit. It's just so nice.
Yeah,
But
the
to
gold
your point,
phone.
yeah, the gold phone. But to your point, visually it's beautiful, but
Yes.
it falls flat at
The
a few
story
spots.
is just way like, did you for a second buy that when they they ultimately I don't know if we explain this. This is
Mm,
basically a ransom movie, right?
mhm,
In the beginning of the movie, Denzel's son, who's a
mhm,
senior in high school, gets kidnapped, and a phone call comes in from young felon saying, "Give me 30 million," or what, and he worked it out. And again, this is right from Kurosawa, so that it would be paid in francs because of the weight.
mhm.
30 million in American dollars couldn't be carried by one man. Um, but once the handoff, the sloppy handoff to the, you know, whoever's conspiring with young felon, that's where the film goes off the rails for me, because they ultimately catch this kid on a moped or a scooter. And of course, the money's not in the bag. I
Of
mean, we
course.
waste like 15 minutes shooting that. We know
Mhm.
it's so obvious that when he catches him, he's not going to have the money.
Right.
So now look at the Kurosawa version, and we don't really know what's happening. The way they catch him is so much more clever.
Yeah.
And, you know, like one of the things, one of the reasons I love Do the Right Thing is if you've seen the movie, Spike Lee plays, he's an actor in the movie, so he's
Yeah.
directing himself. And remember, Spike got his fame from Michael Jordan commercials where he played
The
this, I forget the
shoes.
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a character name. Somebody will put it in the
It's
comments.
like Marvin or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to like guess, but
Mhm.
at the end of the film, it's very racist film. It's hard to watch, especially knowing Danny Aiello, and
My oh, Danny
you have
Aiello.
an affinity for him, but
Love Danny
his
Aiello.
language in this movie, Do the Right
Oh,
Thing, is
yeah,
off the charts
yeah.
racist. But at the end of the film, Spike Lee gets on a barrel and he's between the white and black community, and you're expecting him to kind of make everybody feel good and let's come together. Instead, he hops off the barrel and throws it through the white owner's pizza shop,
Mhm.
starting. To me, that shocked me when
Yeah,
I first saw it. I was expecting the safe play and the shocking play. At first, I was angry. I was
yeah.
like, oh, that's terrible. What a horrible way to end the movie. Then you rewatch it and you realize that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a classic for sure. But yeah, this one again, just it dragged in spots. I think if they had tightened up some of the Boston hate, no offense, but again, it just was a little contrived, and they could have saved a few minutes there. I think
I
it was.
guarantee I could sit next to Spike Lee at a Celtics Lakers game or Celtics Knicks game,
Yeah.
and we would get along just fine,
Oh, for sure.
you know?
Absolutely. It's all in jest. It's all in good fun.
Yeah,
But Dean Winters is one of the actors in this film. He plays one of the detectives that's trying to help, get find the kidnapper and bring his son back.
right.
And it's funny because there's a scene in the trailer
I was wondering if
that
you're gonna bring this up.
we laughed at where Denzel and Jeffrey Wright are in the car together and they're going to try to track kind of do their own justice.
Right.
And Jeffrey Wright pulls out a Glock or something, and
Denzel's
Denzel's
like,
like,
"What's
"What is
that?"
that?" And he goes,
Yeah,
and he says, "Yeah, it's insurance. This is Jake from State Farm," which
right.
we laughed at in the first look.
Yes.
Then there's another sequence later on, and he's got like a bigger weapon or something, and he's like, "What is that?" Denzel says, he's like, That's Mayhem." And of course,
Right.
Dean Winters plays the Mayhem character in the Allstate
Yeah.
commercial. So
You don't wanna come in contact with mayhem like me.
it was very funny. Yeah, it's
That
very funny.
very subtle, but a
Very
joke,
subtle.
you
Yeah,
know, and again, Kurosawa does the same things. There's a couple of subtle jokes
sure.
in High and Low, so I thought it was fitting.
I want to give some love to Wendell Pierce. I just love this actor. He's so
Great,
good,
great actor.
so natural. Just holds his own on screen with Denzel, and he's great in the Krasinski, a Jack Ryan series on Prime. He's
Mm.
just wonderful in that series. But this is another for me. Wasn't as long as that sequence between ASAP Rocky and Denzel, but they have a great sequence here together in this scene. And in fact, there's a clip online you can find of Spike and Denzel breaking this scene down. They're doing kind of like a commentary about this.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, about this particular scene. There's actually a couple of behind the scenes featurettes out on YouTube you can find,
Hmm.
believe it or not, that must have come out back when the film was in theaters, I suspect. This was another just little thing throwaway that I happen to notice. I'm sure you didn't see it, but we said it's on Apple TV streaming, which
Oh, I know what
A24
you're gonna show.
Films.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
It's too
Oh,
late.
sorry.
I was gonna say The Door with A24 on it.
So
He
you did
hung
see
on
it.
it a little too long.
Maybe that's what it was a bit too
Yeah,
low. So it's funny. It was a nice little,
right.
jab.
They're
But,
they're a film producer that produced this film. One
yes,
of them.
A24
Yeah.
Pictures. So here's a shot of Spike in his Knicks colors. Boo, Knicks.
Right.
And then you got ASAP Rocky in the center, and then Denzel on the right here.
Is Denzel rocking a no, there's a hat behind him or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
what someone's head behind him, I
Yeah,
think.
right.
So, it's interesting because the IMDb rating, it actually went down just a bit. It's 73 is the Metascore on
Okay.
IMDb. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 88% rating from the critics and an 85% rating from the audience, as compared to High and Low from Kurosawa, which
Mhm.
has a 90 Metascore,
Right.
and it has 97% rating from the critics and a 95% rating from the audience on Rotten Tomatoes. So
I'll go with the Kurosawa score, but the score for highest to lowest is too high.
it's a little high. Yeah, like the IMDb Metascore is about right. Like
Yeah.
73 is fair. I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
coming in there is good because like we've said like 10 times, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah,
Beautifully
if you
shot.
really want to see a Spike skills here, and you want to see New York in a way that maybe you haven't seen it before, it's striking. It's really striking. So, I would recommend it for people that have Apple TV and can get access to streaming. It's an enjoyable enough movie.
And if
Uh,
you're a fan of Spike,
mhm,
definitely check it out because
absolutely.
he's in that club of directors with no best director Oscar. Now he has 2 Oscars.
Mhm.
One's a lifetime achievement award, which I think, whoa, like Kubrick and Hitchcock didn't get that until they were in their 90s.
But how does he not have a Best Director Oscar? Again, I think that's another example of how meaningless all of that
Right.
is. It really
Well,
is
I point
meaningless.
out Malcolm X versus Scent of a Woman. You
Right.
cannot compare those 2 performances.
And nobody loves Al Pacino more than we do.
Correct.
But even Al was like, okay, I get it. This was a sympathy award, but to take it away from Spike that year is not that cool. So,
Yeah.
anything else about highest to lowest that you want to share with
Yeah,
the
just
audience?
a couple of tidbits that you I don't know if you came across or not, but Martin Scorsese was originally gonna direct this.
Well, it's weird though because Denzel, this as the story goes from Denzel and Spike. So Denzel approached Spike, and Spike immediately, yeah, I'm in. I'm doing it. So that suggests to me what you're saying is Denzel first was talking to Marty about it.
Well, I think what it was in development since
Okay,
1990.
so
David Mamet
okay,
was
okay.
supposed to write it,
But
which
once
I don't know
once
how that would have
Denzel got the
worked.
rights,
Right, exactly.
he went right to Spike, and then Spike said yes, and that was the end of it.
And I think that was a good choice.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
and Mike Nichols also was after Scorsese, they talked to Mike Nichols, and then, like you said, the rights were up in the air.
Mhm.
But Chris Rock actually way back after his, time on SNL, wrote a screenplay based on High and Low,
Mm.
but couldn't get it sold. I don't know how close this story was to that one,
Yeah. A
but
couple of
yeah,
a
just
coup
some interesting
couple of
tidbits.
other, minor mentions I wanna, uh, as I'm looking at my notes that I do wanna mention. The score was really interesting, Mike. The
Yeah,
score was it was an odd mix. There was, like, salsa and jazz and rap and soul and R&B. Like, you had James Brown, "Paid the Cost to Be the
right.
Boss," and then you had, obviously, the hip hop kinda rap stuff going on. Then there was this whole Puerto Rican parade sequence, in the film with
Yeah.
actually, and I do wanna say, Eddie Palmieri and this, band that he had, the salsa music they were playing live, during the shooting. He just passed away August 6th, 2025,
Oh,
sadly, so it must have been
wow.
shortly after they wrapped or something, but so that was
Yeah.
kinda sad, but it was a weird mix. It was, I don't know, sometimes I felt not that it took me out of the film, but it seemed like odd choices at times for
Well,
what was on screen, you know?
that performance you're talking about happens during the chase for the money,
That's
and it
true.
didn't really fit.
Yeah,
Didn't really fit.
it was a bit odd. It was a bit odd.
The
I
James
the
Brown stuff fit perfect.
It was great.
The orchestrated stuff at the beginning, perfect.
Very nice, yeah. I could not find this actress's name, but there's a really brief sequence where Denzel's character, David King, is walking into the building of where his record company is,
Mhm.
and he gets stopped immediately by this young girl who apparently shows up there every week,
Oh,
with
right,
her guitar on and trying to, again, get noticed, get discovered.
right.
Wow, that what a I thought that was such a beautiful song she was singing
Yeah,
and playing on guitar, and he just he stopped and listened to her and then went about his business. But I was like,
yeah,
wow, she's a very talented singer and
and the
performer.
way, Spike played that out, you heard the
Mhm.
song at the same time the story was go moving forward.
That's
So it
right.
didn't take us out of the story like you mentioned with some of the other music.
That's right, yeah, and I did see, one of the, hip hop artists that I like, Ice Spice. She was in it for
Yeah,
about 2.
first film.
Oh, Mike knows the
Yeah,
Ice Spice reference. Look at
yeah,
this. Okay,
yeah.
Mike's spinning the Ice Spice over there on the Apple Music, app, I see, okay. So what do you say? Do you encourage people to see it? How do you what's your
Like I said, if you're a Spike fan, just for the visuals, but,
Mhm,
again, what it always comes down to story for me,
mm,
and the story just didn't play out like in the original High and Low.
yeah,
We are kept in the dark as to why this guy kidnapped his kid until that ending sequence,
yeah.
where they give it away too soon in this one. Little things like that, I think the story just needed to be touched up in a few spots, and there needed to be a swerve.
Mhm.
Maybe Jeffrey Wright isn't on it or something like that, that would have made it more interesting.
True, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair criticism. We should say, as well, I had this up earlier, but, the young actor Aubrey Joseph that played Denzel's son. This is a shot of him playing basketball with his friend. I think his friend was Kyle, which was Jeffrey Wright's character's son.
Son and his son in real life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
But I thought that Aubrey Joseph, again, one of my other favorite scenes is, and again, we're talking about fathers and sons on the podcast, and we're going to be in a future episode talk about that topic a little bit. They have a really interesting scene in the kid's bedroom in the
Yeah.
penthouse,
Yep.
and it's this kind of nice sequence between father and son, and then it turns,
Turns.
and then Denzel's character gives him the business as a
Yes.
dad to a son, and he's not playing around. It was very intense. Very
Yeah,
intense.
that's, brought back some memories.
Yeah, a few memories, yeah. And then I do wanna say, the woman who played, Denzel's wife in the film Ilfenesh Hadera, I may be butchering her name. I thought she was great. Her performance was they all of the supporting cast I thought did a
Yeah,
good job.
the
But
acting was great.
minus Nick Turturro. Sorry, Nick. Just
Yeah.
sorry,
He
buddy.
didn't fit,
It
you
just didn't
made the
fit.
joke,
Yeah,
and again,
I
I'm
get it.
not offended at all. I'm
No.
the first one to say
Yeah.
negative things
I'm
about
not I wasn't
Boston,
offended at all, clearly, wasn't offended at all.
but it was so over the top, it just
It
didn't
it
fit.
yeah, again, it felt contrived and it kinda took me out of it a little bit. I think it eased the tension off a bit too much, it was too
Yeah,
much levity, too much comic relief.
yeah, yep.
Well, there you go, highest to lowest, Mike. That's a bit of a review and a take on both highest to lowest and Akira Kurosawa's High and Low, which maybe we'll come back and do a Criterion, Oh
Yeah,
Brother episode on High and Low
'cause
and
it's a
and talk.
very dark,
Mhm.
dark sequence and that Spike doesn't go near in
Yes.
his version,
Yeah, so, yeah,
and,
maybe we'll do a deeper dive into that film on
yeah,
the Criterion episodes of Oh Brother
exactly.
Podcast. But if you're not currently following the Oh Brother Podcast, make sure that you do. Mike, we're pretty active out on, Instagram. You can follow us at OHB as in Brother Podcast, at OHB Podcast. Go to the website, ohbpodcast.com, as Mike's holding up right there. At Oh Brother Podcast is our handle on YouTube. Of course, if you're watching this, you know that already. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
And
Helps us
leave
get
a
the videos.
comment.
Yeah, leave some comments, will you? We'd like, whether they're critical or you agree with us or don't, doesn't matter. We want to hear from you. So make sure that you show us some love in the comments and let us know what you think about highest to lowest, or if you're a fan of Kurosawa's film, how do you think Spike did with his reimagining of High and Low here with this film? But Mike, that's going to do it, I think, for another episode of the O Brother Podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Bits Galore, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.